A very good evening. You're watching Primetime News on TV1 for the News First team and Mariam Ganavijaya. We start off with a look at your headlines.
Two earthquakes rock Turkey. Death toll crosses 1,600. More than 6,000 injuries reported. Rescue efforts hampered by heavy snowfall. His Grace Most Reverend Dr. Oswald Gomes laid to rest. Trade unions to launch joint protest on the 8th against unjust taxes. Police disrupt trade unions in Colombo. GMOA to move away from private treatments on the 8th. Mahasangha to protest in Colombo against the 13th Amendment on Wednesday. Samagi Janabala Vegaya to boycott President's policy statement on Wednesday. Court grants bail to social media activist Darshana Hadungoda, who was arrested at the BIA. Elections won't be postponed, says SLPP General Secretary.
On to your lead story tonight, some developing news from overseas. Two massive earthquakes and multiple aftershocks rocked Turkey, formerly known as Turkey, and Syria earlier today. We're crossing over to Jamal Ratnayaka for details from the tragedy. Jamal, what is the latest on the situation?
Yes, thank you, Mariam. Indeed, today is a very sorrowful day for the entire world, especially residents of Turkey and those residing in the northern parts of Syria. Earlier today, in the early hours of Monday, the disaster engulfed Turkey as a 7.8 magnitude quake struck the Gaziantep region in Turkey at around 4:17 local time, followed by several aftershocks, and these were felt in the northern border of Syria as well. When authorities scrambled to locate survivors and rescue efforts were launched despite the cold weather and the snowy conditions, yet another earthquake occurred at around 1:30 p.m. local time, and this was recorded as a 7.5 magnitude earthquake, and this tremor struck the Elbistan area in Turkey. Let's now take a look at how the disaster unfolded.
At around 4:17 a.m. local time, a 7.8 magnitude earthquake struck Turkey. First of two major quakes. CCTV and other footage from when the tremor occurred were shared widely on mainstream and social media. The huge quake toppled buildings and houses. Rescue efforts started immediately to locate survivors and to recover those trapped beneath the rubble despite plummeting temperatures.
Abla çok kötü durumdayız. Bak tavana bak. Bak tavan üstümüzde. Bak borular var. Yakma abi. Her şey üstümüzde abla.
A number of aftershocks which succeeded the initial quake further hampered recovery efforts. The US Geological Survey said more than 25 aftershocks have been recorded. Another major quake measured at 7.5
continue to grow, the number of injuries and the number of deaths continue to grow, and we will keep you updated on those developments as and when it happens. When disaster struck, News First reached out to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to understand whether any Sri Lankans were affected by this tremor. And when we reached out to the Foreign Minister, Ali Sabri, he said that 9 Sri Lankans were residing in the region and 8 people have been contacted thus far. However, 1 Sri Lankan is unaccounted for, and authorities are still attempting to establish contact with that 1 Sri Lankan who still has not responded. So to give you a breakdown of what unfolded in Turkey and in the northern border of Syria, earlier today at around 4 in the morning local time in Turkey, a 7.8 magnitude quake struck the Gaziantep region in Turkey, which was also felt in the northern border of Syria. Thereafter, at around 1:30 p.m. local time, yet another major earthquake recorded at 7.5 magnitude struck the Elbistan region in Turkey. The number of deaths continue to rise and authorities are scrambling to save and locate survivors, and recovery efforts are currently underway. Meanwhile, the President's media division in Sri Lanka says Foreign Minister Ali Sabri has offered rescue services assistance to Turkey based on the instructions of the President. Also, the opposition leader Sajid Premadasa has tweeted, and I quote, "My thoughts and prayers are with the people of Turkey and Syria as they confront the devastating effects of the earthquake. The loss of life and the destruction of homes and communities is heartbreaking. We stand in solidarity with those affected and offer our support." This is the latest in a string of developments that are coming in from mainstream media and also being reported on social media as well. News First will continue to keep a keen eye on the developments that are occurring and coming out from Turkey. We will continue to monitor the situation throughout the night, so you can stay tuned on our social media platforms on Facebook, YouTube and also on WhatsApp for the latest news coming in from Turkey and adjoining regions. It's back to Mariam from the news studio.
Thank you, Jamal, for that comprehensive report. As Jamal mentioned, you can stay tuned to News First as we will bring you the latest updates on the situation as and when it happens. Moving on to more local developments, the final rites of the former Archbishop of Colombo, His Grace the Most Reverend Dr. Oswald Gomez, were performed this afternoon at the St. Lucia's Cathedral in Cartagena.
This morning, His Grace, the Most Reverend Dr. Oswald Gomez, was brought to the University of Colombo, where he once held the position of Chancellor. His remains were later brought to the St. Lucia's Cathedral in Cartagena. A large number gathered there to pay their last respects. Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, conducted the service.
In today's world, it is the responsibility of a bishop to raise their voice for the people so that they feel the love of God as they face life's challenges. It is to show them the way to freedom so that they are not prisoners of selfishness and power. 75 years of independence celebrations. We have to remember the freedom we enjoy at times like this. Our brother, Archbishop Oswald Gomez, we pray that you too will be blessed to hear these words from God.
අනතුරුව දේහය සන්ත ලුසියා දේවස්ථාන පරිශ්‍රයේ තැන්පත්.
The government and semi-government trade union collective marched towards the Ministry of Finance this morning. However, Sri Lanka police disrupted the group when they were heading towards the ministry.
Members of the government and semi-government trade union collective converged at the Lake House roundabout this morning to create awareness on unjust taxes and increased interest rates. Attempts by the group to travel towards the Ministry of Finance were thwarted by the police.
මෙහෙම පෙළපාලියක් කණ්ඩායමක් හැටියට ජනාධිපතිතුමත් ඉන්නවා ඇවිල්ලා දැන් මෙතන ගලද මේ හිල්ටන් හෝටලේ ඇවිල්ලා ඉන්නවා විරුද්ධ මතධාරීන් කණ්ඩායම් දෙකක් මෙතන තියෙනවා කවුද විරුද්ධ කණ්ඩායම් කවුද ඕගොල්ලොත් ඇවිල්ලා රජයට විරුද්ධ කණ්ඩායම් කවුද කියන්නේ රාජ්‍ය සේවක කොහොමද කියන්නේ විරුද්ධකාරී කියලා කරුණා කරලා මෙතනින් එහාට යන්න එපා අපි වයින් යන්නොත් අපිට විශ්වවන්න වෙනවා මොකද්ද අපි දෙන්න දෙන්න නැහැ
Although the crowd attempted to proceed towards the Ministry of Finance, disregarding the police, they were held by the police once more when entering Lotus Road. Later, 10 people were permitted to travel towards the Ministry of Finance.
Good morning.
6 people who engaged in the protest and were permitted to enter the Ministry of Finance spoke to the media following the discussion.
We obtained loans because banks introduced loan schemes at attractive interest rates. If we take the People's Bank, they had the Garusita scheme, very attractive interest rates. The initial interest rate was 9%. Later it was increased to 15%. How are we to repay it? Once loan installments are paid, we cannot survive. How can we live? If this interest rate and pay tax isn't removed by the 20th, we will launch a massive trade union action. It will involve government, semi-government and private sector employees.
The Water Board, Ceylon Electricity Board, Ceylon Petroleum Corporation and Port Trade Unions have decided to engage in a joint trade union action on the 8th against the government's unjust tax policy.
President Wickremesinghe, stop playing games. If you don't withdraw this tax bill, the entire country will have to shut down. We will not take the responsibility when that happens. You better take that responsibility. That is our message.
We
will provide our services and do the plant maintenance for the first hour. For the people of this country, we will not put a stop to operations by just reporting sick for one day. However, if the government continues to arbitrarily cling to this tax policy, the decision taken by the trade unions collective will be even more severe. If they don't listen to us on the 8th, then we will decide for the working people of this country and go on a general strike. The petroleum, electricity, port and water supply sectors will go on strike.
We are
not ready to halt the water supply. However, a lacuna has been created due to the employee turnover. So in the future, if this situation continues, the people of this country will not have a proper water supply. Professionals trade unions are preparing for a trade union action on the 8th, demanding that unfair tax policies be changed immediately.
The Federation of University Teachers Association has taken a decision to launch a token strike on the 8th. Universities across the country will go on strike on the 8th. As of now, we have not decided to hinder the academic activities. We will cancel all the meetings held inside the university.
Meetings,
We will have to use a different language to speak to rulers who are pretending they are deaf. So in order to communicate through that language, we will be launching the trade union action on the 8th. As bank employees, we hope to step out regardless of being in the private sector, public sector or foreign banks. We will go on a half-day strike and then take to the streets. Do not bother looking for bank employees after 12:30. The air traffic controllers' work to rule is a serious situation, but we have taken that decision. The air traffic controllers will have to work to rule during the morning hours, which means that all other airport services are crippled. Most of the flights depend on how we work. So technically, all our members are on half day.
The GMOA announced that they will refrain from engaging in healthcare services apart from emergency care on the 8th.
A common decision has been reached regarding the 8th of February. The entire private sector in this country will refrain from all activities except emergency care. GMOA members in the private sector will completely withdraw from their duties from morning on the 8th. So far, a unanimous decision has been taken in this regard.
Venerable Pahyangala Anandasagara Thero revealed today that the Mahasangha will visit Colombo on the 8th against efforts being taken to implement the 13th Amendment to the Constitution.
In general, all the political parties of this country should come together and issue a statement regarding the consequences of implementing the 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment will go beyond the country's law, the country's sovereignty, freedom and territorial integrity. A large number of intellectuals, political leaders, civil organizations and war heroes have gathered against this. So we decided that the Mahasangha will also join this. So at 8:30 a.m. on the 8th, the Mahasangha will arrive in Colombo. They are coming to create a country where Sinhalese, Tamils and Muslims can live freely and bring an end to racism. It is the right of any citizen to speak, write and to protest. We are coming to abolish the 13th Amendment immediately. We are rallying behind that cause.
The Samaki Janabalaveke and several other parties have decided to refrain from attending the parliamentary meeting on the 8th. The new parliamentary session is scheduled to commence after the President prorogued the Parliament.
Why did they prorogue Parliament twice in a time span of 6 to 7 months? We strongly suspect that through this, the President disabled all the activities that took place in Parliament. What is the special statement that the President is planning to make in Parliament? What policy will be followed? Even on Independence Day, he made a special statement. Perhaps he'll give us a small clue about postponing the election. Is this what the people expect? I wish to state that the SJB have no interest in attending the 4th session of the 9th Parliament.
We have no objection to paying taxes, but these taxes are levied on our hard-earned money, our sweat, our toil, our labor. But we will willingly pay these taxes so long as we are convinced that these revenues which are obtained by the government will be applied towards purposes which are beneficial for the country. If one is talking of wasteful expenditure, of extravagance, surely there can be no better example than the extravaganza which took place a few days ago on the 4th of February. The lamentable situation today is that our children sitting for the advanced level examination, which goes on until the 17th of February, are forced to study by candlelight. Now there has been a prorogation of Parliament and the new session of Parliament is going to be opened in 2 days' time. That is on Wednesday, the 8th of February. We shall not be participating in this ceremony.
The National People's Power says that they hope to express their views against the President's policy statement during the debate. NPP MP Vijitha Herath says that he hopes to participate in the new parliamentary session where the President will announce his policy statement. TNA MP M.A. Sumanthiran said that he will participate in the opening session that is scheduled to be on the 8th. The Sri Lanka Muslim Congress, the All Ceylon People's Congress and the Tamil Progressive Alliance confirmed their participation in the session. Meanwhile, the leader of the All Ceylon Tamil Congress, Gajendra Kumar Ponnambalam, said that he will not participate in the meeting.
Social media activist Darshana Handunguru, who was arrested by the Criminal Investigation Department last night, was granted bail by the 4th Magistrates Court today. He was released on 2 surety bails of 500,000 rupees each.
He was arrested by the Criminal Investigations Department at the Bandaranaike International Airport at Katunaika at around midnight on Sunday upon arriving from Dubai. The CID said he was arrested over posting controversial views on social media. The CID informed the court that the suspect, who flew to Dubai, was arrested at the BIA following a tip-off that he was returning to Sri Lanka in secret. The CID requested that the suspect be remanded as the investigation into the incident had not been completed. Attorney Chaminda Athukorala, who appeared for Darshana Handungoda, pointed out that the facts presented to the court by the CID were completely false. He pointed out that his client appeared before the police on the 31st of May, provided a statement and spent nearly 7 months in Sri Lanka based on the notification given by the police. He said that since he did not receive a notice once again, he flew to Dubai for a 2-month tour as previously planned. The case is scheduled to be taken up again on the 17th of May.
විශේෂයෙන්ම ගරු අධිකරණයේ පිළිබඳව විශ්වාසය තවමත් තියෙනවා. ඒක අද එක්තරා ආකාරයකින් තහවුරු වුණා. ඒක ඉතා වැදගත් සිදුවීමක්.
A statement titled Justice for All called for a fresh initiative to form a broad democratic movement that can build a robust and inclusive democratic alliance between the politically awakened citizens, political parties and the civil society movements. The statement was issued in the aftermath of the incidents which transpired in Maradana on Friday evening.
The statement titled Justice for All, an Independence Day of Reflection, Reckoning and Reform said, despite the hardships faced by so many in Sri Lanka, the government of President Ranil Wickremesinghe marked independence with pomp and pageantry, reportedly costing Sri Lanka nearly 200 million rupees, funds that could have been used to meet basic needs of Sri Lankans. The statement opined that such extravagance must be juxtaposed to the government's claim of financial difficulties to hold the local government election. Signed by A.M. Faiz, Bhavani Fonseca, Shanakyan Rasamanikyam, M.A. Sumantiran and Professor Jayadeva Uyangoda, the statement alleges that the few months of Ranil Wickremesinghe's presidency has witnessed new levels of repression, including attacks on peaceful protesters, the use of national security and counter-terror laws to target protests, and creation of a high-security zone in Colombo, intimidation, harassment and surveillance. While highlighting that the post-independence period continues with the divide and rule policy, the statement explains the socio-economic and political reforms that work towards an inclusive, plural and peaceful Sri Lanka are urgently required. The statement concludes that a broad democratic coalition is necessary to play the leading role in bringing deep democratic reforms back to the country's immediate political agenda, while also mobilizing the people for a truly meaningful regime change in the near future.
The Centre for Policy Alternatives says it is deeply concerned by the excessive use of force, arbitrary actions and the blatant disregard for due process in arresting peaceful demonstrators on the eve and on the day of the 75th anniversary of independence of Sri Lanka. Issuing a statement and citing the words of Justice Mark Fernando in the Janagosha case in 1993, the CPA said, quote, stifling the peaceful expression of legitimate dissent today can only result inexorably in the catastrophic explosion of violence some other day, unquote. The statement added these words resonate in a country that is confronted with a deepening crisis and multiple uncertainties. In such a context, the CPA urged the authorities to, quote, desist from the use of ad hoc and arbitrary measures and to adhere to its obligations towards its citizens, unquote.
In the meantime, former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon suggested ways for Sri Lanka to reduce its debt. He was speaking at an event in Colombo this morning after arriving in the island today. President Ranil Wickremesinghe also attended the event.
You will be able to overcome all these difficult times for genuine democracy and sustainable economic growth and social development. Sri Lanka is a very honorable member. I will spare no effort to work with your people to make sure that your people will enjoy genuine peace and freedom and sustainable development. You can count on me. I understand the government's first priority is reaching an agreement with the International Monetary Fund, IMF. GGGI believes Sri Lanka should consider opportunities for further debt reduction with a debt for nature and for a debt for climate swap. If successfully arranged, such transactions can reduce sovereign debt, as well as bring much-needed resources to conservation and climate action.
IMF Chief Kristalina Georgieva says China's finance minister and its central bank governor will attend a round table with other creditors in some borrowing countries in February in India. In an interview, she said China has to change its policies because low-income countries cannot pay.
China has to proactively seek restructuring of these debt obligations.
Now, there's something called the China debt trap. And it has been thought that China liked to keep countries indebted to them so that they can apply political pressure and make them beholden to China.
China has to change its policies because low-income countries cannot pay. This is when debt restructuring becomes a top priority. What we are working towards is to bring all creditors, the traditional creditors from advanced economies, new creditors like China, Saudi Arabia, India, as well as the private sector, and put them around the table with the debtor countries. We are going to be in Bangalore in India in the end of February.
Has China agreed to attend?
China is going to participate at the level of Minister of Finance and the Governor of People's Bank of China.
Newsfirst, main sponsor.
Durden's Hospital, dedicated to you. Experience the best in healthcare at Durden's Hospital's new Alfred Place wing. We continue to evolve into a purpose-built hospital of the future, with an ambience built to deliver world-class care. Durden's Hospital, dedicated to you.
Sri Lanka's election headquarters.
The SJB launched a series of rallies across the country under the theme Answer to an Answerless Nation. The public rally in Minuangoda was held yesterday with opposition leader Sajid Premadasa in attendance.
The rally was staged at the Alice Park Stadium in Minuangoda.
I fearlessly say that the Samagi Jana Balavegaya is the only political party in Sri Lanka's parliament to have declared a feasible program to help Sri Lanka recover from bankruptcy. We want to come out of this debt trap. The groups that demand alternative governments don't discuss this. India said they will help us. China said we can delay our repayments for 2 years. We have only 10 months left. We have to pay back our interest and installments. So later they will say we have to pay in total the amount borrowed and the arrears due. It's a serious problem. Private creditors who have given loans to Sri Lanka sent a letter to the IMF the day before yesterday. The letter says that we are ready to negotiate with you, but you should refer to your local debt restructuring program. Take note of this complicated situation. Who has given local loans to the government? The banks and our employees' provident fund. Then what happens to the banks if there's a problem? We need to take this discussion forward without causing any problems for Sri Lanka's banking system. So I wish to ask those groups that don't even discuss this, how do you plan to address this problem? I have no interest to enter politics again. I cannot even do my own business. We're all suffering. Bank interest rates have increased threefold. Revenues have decreased. We cannot live. But we can develop this country. This is a small country and we have that capability. If we build the tourism industry, we can bring in 2.5 to 3 million. We will build the foundation.
සංචාරක ව්‍යාපාරයේ මිලියන 2.5 3ක් අපිට ගේන්න පුළුවන් හැකියාව අපිට තියෙනවා. අපි අත්තිවාරම හදන්නම්. මේ වර්තමාන ආණ්ඩුවට
The mandate of the incumbent government lies in the hands of this expired parliament. Governments without a mandate cannot enter into agreements with organizations and destroy people's lives. The weight of the nation has now been placed on the IMF and the people are suffering. There's no money to offer relief to the people. But 14.2 million rupees can be spent on mobile restrooms for Independence Day celebrations. Where do their priorities lie? We are not bound to respect agreements made by a government without the people's mandate or the people's blessing. But we will hold discussions with the IMF. We will work together with the IMF. But that won't be like the agreements reached with the Ranil Rajapaksa government. We're the only political party with the ability to reach an agreement with the IMF, which the people can afford, live freely, breathe and live well together with their children.
A meeting involving candidates contesting the Valigama division of the National People's Power was held yesterday, headed by MP Dr. Harini Amarasuriya.
We are aware that Ranil Wickremesinghe is spreading a rumour that an election will not take place. This is a lie. The election is coming. It will take place. So there's no need to have doubts. There are stories going around claiming that there's no money and that courts will stop it. And even saying that the parliament will bring a bill to stop it. But it cannot be done. Remember that.
During a program for SLPP candidates held in Anuradhapura today, the party secretary Sagara Karyavasam asserted that the election will take place.
Since yesterday, the first question everyone asks is, will there be an election? The election will take place. Don't have any doubts about it. The SLPP never asked for elections to be postponed. I believe that if we approach this election with confidence, we have the capability to win. This is our election.
News First with the people.
Laughs Gas announced a price hike of its domestic gas cylinders.
Following the decision by Litro to increase prices yesterday, Laughs Gas followed suit and announced that it will increase gas prices from midnight today. A 12.5 gas cylinder has been increased by 200 rupees to 5,280 rupees. A 5 kilogram gas cylinder has been increased by 80 rupees to 2,112 rupees. And a price of a 2 kilogram gas cylinder has been increased by 32 rupees to 845 rupees.
14 years ago on a day like today, Stein Studios was declared open, marking the beginning of a journey that has introduced a multitude of world-class productions to the populace of Sri Lanka.
The Stein Studio Complex, equipped with state-of-the-art facilities in the whole South Asian region, has put together an enormous volume of productions over the years, including internationally renowned franchises. 3 such international franchises are currently being produced at Stein Studios, which is undoubtedly a novel feat in Sri Lanka's television industry.
The speciality of this situation is us having the opportunity to collaborate with 3 leading international production studios. They are Sony Pictures for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, ITV for The Voice, and with Bunny J International for The Money Drop. We are vested with the responsibility and challenge of producing them according to international standards. We have been successful in our endeavors thus far thanks to the state-of-the-art equipment we possess and highly skilled and creative staff. We are proud of it.
The uber popular The Voice reality singing competition produced at Stein Studios has gained high acclaim from Sri Lankan audiences and has contributed to elevating many budding artists to stardom through its widespread fame.
It's my life, it's now or never.
Money Drop is yet another program highly sought after by viewers. Stein Studios is also gearing up to reveal the 10th edition of the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire franchise, much anticipated by many from all walks of life. Stein Studios takes great pride in breaking new ground in Sri Lanka's reality entertainment sphere managing 3 major franchises simultaneously while seeking opportunities to shatter new records and enhance viewing experiences.
Welcome to Stein, where dreams come true.
The Kandyan Kingdom was the last stronghold Sri Lankans had against European colonizers. For years, 3 different foreign forces attempted to invade this mountainous kingdom to no avail. Tonight in our segment, The Struggle for Independence, we bring to you the story of the Battle of Gannorua.
After facing multiple military defeats at the hands of the Kandyan forces in Mulleriyawa, Danture, Balana and Randanibala, the Portuguese did not give up their attempt to conquer the Kandyan kingdom. Under the leadership of General Diogo de Melo de Castro, a legion of Portuguese soldiers entered the Kandyan kingdom on March 27, 1638. Anticipating the incoming forces, King Rajasingha II, along with his troops, strategically retreated, leaving the city of Kandy empty. After setting fire to the city, the Portuguese army marched towards Balana and set up camp in Gannorua as the sun had set. Making use of this opportunity, the Kandyan forces went on the offensive. Many years ago, our ancestors fought the Portuguese in Gannorua to protect the motherland. Today, students of the Ranabim Royal College come here to get their education sorted out. After their gunpowder was soaked by water following rain, the Portuguese forces laid the gunpowder to dry. This was spotted by the Kandyan forces from the Dividos mountain as a large black spot. Acting promptly, the Kandyan archers attacked them with fire arrows, setting fire to the fields covered with gunpowder. This led to one of the biggest military defeats the Portuguese had to suffer, as only 33 Portuguese soldiers survived the attack. It is said that the body of General Diogo de Melo de Castro was not recovered from the massacre. However, King Rajasingha II took steps to conduct the final rites of the deceased Portuguese soldiers. Join us tomorrow as we bring you the details of the Uwavellasa rebellion.
Beyonce and Viola Davis broke records at the Grammy Awards. Known as music's biggest night, the Grammys were held for the 65th time today.
The show Adele, Harry Styles, Lizzo, Shania Twain and Stevie Wonder. Beyonce has broken the record for the most Grammy Award wins of all time after collecting her 32nd trophy at this year's ceremony. The singer made history as she won Best Dance Electronic Album for her euphoric dance opus, Renaissance. In doing so, she overtook Hungarian-British conductor George Solti, whose record of 31 awards had stood for more than 20 years. Meanwhile, Viola Davis has joined the elite group of EGOT winners with her victory at the Grammy Awards on Sunday. Known as US Entertainment's Grand Slam, the illustrious acronym EGOT signifies a recipient of an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar and a Tony Award. Davis is the 18th person to achieve EGOT status. She won her first Grammy on Sunday for her audiobook recording of her memoir, Finding Me. Kendrick Lamar won the 2023 Grammy Award for Best Rap Album with Mr. Morale and The Big Steppers. The rapper was presented the award by Cardi B and he was victorious over fellow nominees Pusha T, Jack Harlow, Future and DJ Khaled.
All we ever wanted was to be the biggest underground artist of all. I finally found imperfection with this album, so I appreciate y'all. I love y'all.
Kendrick Lamar has now won Best Rap Album thrice, having been victorious in the category in 2016 and 2018. Singer-songwriter Bonnie Raitt was the surprise winner of Song of the Year, beating favourites Taylor Swift and Beyoncé with a sorrowful ballad Just Like That. Voters were undoubtedly moved by Wright's tender lyrics, in which a woman mourning the death of her son finds comfort from the man who received his heart in a transplant. Adele also won Best Pop Vocal Performance for Easy on Me, dedicating the prize to her son Angelo. Icon star Dr. Dre won the first ever Global Impact Award, which will be named in his honor.
That everything is important. That is one of my mottos. Everything is important. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
And that's a wrap of your news for tonight. For the News First team and Mariam Vinajaya, good night and take care.